Now, if you've seen even just a few of my videos on my channel, then you probably already can kind of tell just how important grad advisors are to your success as a graduate student. But how do you know if a grad advisor or a faculty mentor is right for you? Well, today we are discussing the 5 things you should ask your faculty mentor or grad advisor as early as you can in your graduate career so you can make the best decisions for your graduate process. So the first thing that you would want to ask your graduate mentor, your faculty mentor, is what communication style works best for them. And when I'm talking about communication, I mean communication in a variety of ways. So this could be literal communication. Are they easiest to be contacted through email, text messages, phone calls? Should you just stop by their office hours and see if they're physically in their office? Knowing the technicalities of the best way to get in contact with or discuss grievances or concerns with your faculty mentor can help you avoid a lot of mistakes in the future because you both already know what the expectation is and the process to be able to get in contact with one another. And when you're having this conversation, you should also tell them what works best for you. So maybe they prefer to be contacted through email, but you prefer to be contacted through text messages or via phone call. Making sure that that communication style is established and understood by both parties can help make your graduate mentor or experience so much smoother. But it can also help you know or kind of figure out if your communication styles are just incompatible. Another important aspect of communication style is knowing what frequency that they want you to contact them. So you should ask, what frequency of meetings should you have throughout the semester or even the academic year? Some graduate advisors want to meet their students once a month or once every other week. Some graduate advisors only need to be seen maybe once a quarter or once a semester. Frequency also implies trying to understand or get to know what information does your faculty mentor or your grad advisor think is important to know and what is stuff that you can kind of do in the background. So generally you do want to make sure that you can understand, do they want to be kept in the loop about everything that you're doing, all of the classes that you're taking, all the grants or applications that you're doing for external opportunities? Or are they the type of mentor that likes to be kind of just updated once in a while? Again, this is important because faculty members, graduate advisors are just people. And at the end of the day, it's really easy to make somebody feel disconnected, unwanted, disrespected. And so by asking these questions about communication style, you're also able to avoid moments of tension or discomfort or just miscommunication that can make your graduate experience that much harder. When in reality, if you just set the expectations early or get to understand each other's perspectives or expectations, then you're able to plan ahead and structure your graduate process in a way that is both respectful but also generative or useful for you. Next, you want to figure out what are their perspectives or expectations for time to degree? Meaning in regards to moving towards graduation, do they expect their students to be very rigid and meet every deadline? Or are they more kind of fluid and flexible and really into letting students self-pace their graduate process? And the reason you want to have this conversation is because you're trying to understand if they have unrealistic expectations for what you see for your graduate experience, for your education or learning style, or even your own lifestyle or life circumstances. So during this conversation, you do want to make sure that you're not just asking about, what the progress looks like to get to the end of graduation, but also if this faculty advisor or mentor is also putting on extra burdens or extra expectations that can either empower you to get to where you want to go or make you feel like you're not good enough. And so an example of this is maybe your advisor may expect you to do an unrealistic amount of conference presentations or publications, or maybe have an unrealistic teaching load. It's important to make sure that you are reflecting on what is it that you want to do for your own professional and educational journey, but also what you physically, mentally, intellectually are able to do to make sure that you are able to keep a work balance, school life balance. Because genuinely, it never feels good to be in a situation to work with an advisor or a faculty member and feel like you're just not good enough or you'll never succeed because of some arbitrary benchmarks or milestones that they applied onto you. So instead, make sure that you are listening early on into these conversations and reflecting on what you think is possible, realistic, or aligned to what you care about. And then from there, start to deduce if this faculty member will work for you, if not, or maybe other opportunities or other ways to have these conversations to really bring your needs or desires to the forefront. It's also really important that you discuss your funding and your funding package. Now, if you're feeling like you have no idea what a funding package is or how grad funding works, don't worry, I have an entire playlist that talks about grad funding, and I will put it in the end screen of this video, so when you get to the end, you can just click onto it next. Now, I understand talking about money can feel taboo or really uncomfortable, or you may not want to feel like you're being greedy or money hungry. But it is so important to talk about your funding and your funding package with your grad advisor, your faculty mentor, because they are the ones that are going to help you accrue more or make sure that your funding package is consistent throughout your graduate career. So what this means is if you are somebody who has received a really good funding package that has given you a lot of funding or stipends for the first couple of years or for the majority of your years, then you may want to create some type of financial plan with your graduate advisor to make sure that covers all aspects of your graduate degree. Does it cover your summer? Does it cover your field work? Are you able to get the software, materials, or equipment that you need? And so by creating a financial plan with your advisor, you're able to kind of see the full breadth of what could financially become a burden to you as a graduate student. Now, if you are somebody who did not receive a good funding package or has no financial support, it is important to really express your financial needs and concerns to your faculty advisor, because they are the ones that know what kind of hidden secret monies are in your department. They may have their own research funds or graduate student research opportunities that they can give to you, but they can help you if they don't know what the problem is. And so for a lot of graduate advisors or faculty mentors, they may just assume that you are taken care of. And it's important to know if you are not taken care of, then you need to express those concerns. It's important to have this conversation early in your graduate career because one, you want to make sure that you are financially taken care of throughout your entire grad process. You also would need to or would benefit from planning what grant applications you may be eligible for or looking proactively for grant funding from external sources. But it's also important to have this conversation early because you can see what is your grad advisor or faculty mentor's mentality over funding and graduate students. If finances are a giant burden for you and you bring up your concerns to your faculty advisor and they're very nonchalant or even dismissive about it, then they're probably not going to advocate for you when these conversations come up in other spheres. And you want to be aware of that because, again, if you need money to succeed in graduate school and your advisor is not advocating for you to gain these finances or to apply to these grant opportunities, then you are going to be at a disadvantage. And so you want to make sure that you have a faculty mentor or a grad advisor that is rooting for you, not just intellectually, but also for your safety, your mental well-being, and your financial stability or your financial health. The next important thing that you need to ask your faculty mentor or grad advisor is, what do they consider to be successful for a graduate student? Or who would they consider as a successful graduate student? This question is so important because it'll show you the things that matter to your grad advisors the most. And if they are listing a bunch of things that just sound like the complete opposite of you, or something that is completely unachievable or not aligned to your ethics and values, this is a great time to run away. Because I guarantee if they're saying a successful student is nothing like you, independent if they know who you are or not, it's going to be easier to find a faculty mentor or advisor that is more aligned with your values and who you are as a person than changing who you are fundamentally to fit a person's expectations. This is where the conversation of academic hazing comes into. If you find yourself under the guidance or mentorship of somebody who's trying to mold you into a perfect, robotic academic that speaks and talks and moves and thinks a certain way, unless that is like your dream to be a carbon copy of your graduate advisor, it's really important that you find somebody that's really invested in you and your success. So this question is more about trying to assess, do you think you can meet their expectations? And not because, you're not smart enough or things like that, but more realistic self-reflection type of approach where you're trying to understand, are their expectations something that you find value in and want to strive towards? Or is it a sign that you probably should go seek mentorship from somebody else? Which is directly related to the next thing that you should talk about with your graduate advisor, and that is, who do they work well with? And this can apply to both faculty and graduate students. Now, you want to ask this question because it gives you a little snapshot of who they think, or kind of like their personality profile of who are the people that they get along most with. This is important because, one, again, if that is just not aligned, if all the people they're listing or talking about or diving deeper into are just completely unlike you, have completely different values, then you can already start to tell that you all may have tension. But it is also useful because as a graduate student, there are just a lot of bureaucratic politics, and you will be expected to make a committee. You will be expected to have other mentorships or relationships or reach out for support for other graduate students. And so if you do like your graduate mentor or your faculty advisor, and you're trying to, build your community and your network, and they are good for you, knowing who they work with will also give you a larger community of people that can be supportive of you, that work well with your faculty mentor. So when you're making your committee, there won't be tension, there won't be conflict, and other people that you can lean on as for grad students if you need support or if you need guidance or just need companionship. So this question doesn't have to be kind of outright like, who are people that you work with well? But rather you can ask, what faculty do you work closely with? Or who are your graduate students that you think I should talk to or get to know better? Now, if you get to the point where you're having these conversations with your graduate advisor and you're starting to realize that they just might not be for you, then you should probably check out this video where I'm discussing how to choose a graduate mentor and what is a graduate advisor. If you found at least 2 things useful, hit the thumbs up so YouTube can share this video with others that may need it. And as always, your support helps a small YouTuber like me continue to grow. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.